And that winter was 1 month longer. 72, I'm talking of 1972, as recent as that. And there was sleet for about 4 months on the ground. Nothing grew, not a blade of grass grew. And there was so much of hue and cry saying that we are in for an ice age very soon. It continued for 10 years. Suddenly, ice age gave place to warming. And we have evidence, so-called evidence. Ultimately, then the evidence is not correct. They say, well, I didn't look at the data. My secretary collected the data and the data was wrong or something like that. That's the explanation you give. But we don't say reductionist science doesn't have evidence. We say evidence-based science. What is the evidence? That's why I've got a nice slide. All our evidence is surrogate evidence. If you want to say world is warming, I can get you a slide to show how the ladies' underwear has been becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller in the last 200 years. Have you seen that? 18th century England, if you see, the underwear used to come up to this. And it's come now almost invisible. That stage it has come to. Naturally, the world is warming, you know. Very, very hot. So this is the kind of evidence we have. Supposing, let us say, God forbid, one of us has cancer. We go to the doctor. What do? They do a biopsy of that cancer, right? And then take the cells, put in the glass slide, smear them correctly, squeeze them out, and then poison with hematoxin and eosin, and then completely kill the cell, and look under the electron microscope, this microscope, that microscope. What is looking at? Tombstone of the dead cells. Albert Szent-Györgyi, a brilliant Nobel laureate biologist, wrote a book way back in 1960s called Introduction to Submolecular Biology. I don't know how many of you read that book. It's a fascinating book, almost an epoch-making book, where he says, I quote, I don't know what cancer is. I'm not saying that. Albert Szent-Györgyi was saying that in 1960. I don't know what cancer is because cancer cells are working like normal cells, absolutely normal cells. And I can't say what the cancer does by looking at the tombstone of the cell. They may look abnormal cells because they are squeezed out and distorted and stained and all kinds of things happen. But they are normal cells. They work like normal cells. And I don't know how to kill them without killing the other normal cells. Right? Agree. Now, I give you an analogy to students. Supposing a bird comes in here, let us say. Bhushan was telling me sparrows are very few in Pune. Supposing a sparrow comes in here. You want to know why did the sparrow come here? Where did it come from? Where it intends to go in future? And what is it here for? What are we doing in regeneration? Catch hold of the sparrow, cut it, take a few cells, under the microscope, look at it, and then predict all about that sparrow, right? That's exactly what we're doing about cancer. Do you know what cancer is by looking at that biopsy bit? No. Do you know what will happen to the cancer by looking at the biopsy bit? But we have been predicting the unpredictable future of man. Every day, we have been doing it. You want to know exactly how bad the science is? Any curious student here? Write down, I'll give you the reference. Students, Bhushan's 20 students, where are they? Hands up. Okay, write down. The author's name is Firth, W.J. William John Firth, F-I-R-T-H. It is called Predicting the Unpredictable Future of Patients. The journal's name is British Medical Journal, BMJ. Then Vancouver style, 1991, semicolon, 303, colon, 1565. Please read this article. It's about 5-6 pages, very tough physics, but at the end of it, you will realize how foolish we have been. A patient comes to me, let us say, he has some fever. I'll simplify it. And he wants to know, tomorrow he has got to go for a lecture in Bhushan's laboratory. So he asked the doctor, Doctor, will I be all right tomorrow for the lecture? Doctor says, yeah, take this tablet 3 times a day and you will be okay. The doctor doesn't know what the fever is. Of course, he very pontificates like a physician. This is a viral fever. He has not seen the virus. But if you told the doctor in the olden days, when I was a child, we used to say, smallpox is due to the wrath of the goddess. And today you say, hey, well, the old fellows didn't know anything. They were also rational. There's a cause, there's an effect. Today's professor comes for rounds and says, oh, this is viral fever? Yes. Students agree, yes, sir, yes, sir. Nobody's seen the virus. Now all of you say H1N1 virus, right? Right? Pune it came, he came here, there. This is called the medical scare system, The minute you say H1N1, you piss in your pants. Because he say it dies, people die. They created this scare in 2009 to sell a drug which was not selling. It's called Zardovidine. So what did they, Tamiflu they call it, Tamiflu. This company which was manufacturing Tamiflu and had the world right for marketing it is the company which made this test, which is called H1N1 test. You go to the laboratory and get a test done. It has not been authenticated by any independent agency. It has not come from anybody. It has come from the company. So the specificity and sensitivity of the test is less than 50%, which means whether it is positive or negative, it doesn't mean at all. Actually, you will be surprised. In 2009, everybody put on that mask and all. If you put on a mask and go, it is bad for you, not for the others anyway. Others, nothing happens because flu doesn't jump like that. You catch a cold, you catch a virus. It goes by this handle. Your mobile phone is the most dangerous, or bus handle, door knobs. But if you have a brass knob, it's good because the virus doesn't live long there. Brass knob kills the virus so fast. Or if you have coconut oil in your hands, the virus dies in seconds. So these viruses are caught. So you don't have to put see a lot of these people in the plane putting on that. I said, what are you having some bad disease? You don't want to give it to us? No, I am protecting myself from flu. I said, you are not protecting yourself from flu. You are protecting yourself from good oxygen around you. You are breathing the same air that you are taking. So after some time, you will carbon dioxide intoxication. That's all what happens. A lot of these policemen of course, on the road is different. In the screening area in the airport, you must see that CASF fellow also has I tell those girls, please don't do that. Breathe normally. Nothing happens. Now coming down to that, in New Zealand, on an average every year, in the flu season, 15 to 17,000 people die. This is normal, every flu season. In America, about 36,000 people die. In India, we don't have statistics because our people die in the village, we're not accounted for. Only people who die in the hospital are accounted for. So that's not a reliable statistics. But that particular year, because everybody washed hands, remember that? You don't want to catch a virus, wash your hands. Never touch your nose, your mouth, your eyes, or any part of your body where it's liable to get virus infection without washing your hands, because shaking hands is the worst thing that can happen. Ours is such a healthy system. Namaskaram. So nice. Two things happen. One, your humility shows. You bend and say namaskaram. Humility is a sign of virtue and great education. Then number two, you don't touch another person's hands. The dirtiest part of the body is the hand. And the WHO taught us a very nice thing. You know, when you do and hold this. And then that has millions of germs, you just shake hands. No, you do this. It comes here, nobody touches there. And it doesn't touch anyone. By evening it is dead. 3-4 hours the virus is dead. So the best thing is, whenever you have to sneeze, whenever you have to cough, that's it. Anyway, New Zealand that year, because everybody washed hands, only 3,000 people died. So the scare of so-called non-existent H1 virus saved 15,000 lives in 1 year in a small country whose population may be a little bigger than Pune, the whole country's population. And that was the scare that we produced. Anyway, the doctor who assisted the drug company to say that there is H1N1 virus, his name is Dr. Osterhaus, a Swedish doctor, who is now in jail. He is called Dr. Flu. He took $10,000 to create this myth called H1N1 virus. And the company made the thing, and everything was done. And the WHO chairman, or the chief of WHO, connived with the drug company because she declared it as a pandemic. When once you declare it as a pandemic, every government has to buy nearly $750 million of drugs, per force. And there is no criterion of pandemic at all. Pandemic means at a time 20,000, 25,000 people should die. Nothing else sort happened. Anyway, they have these periodic things to frighten us. That is why I have called it as medical scare system. You go to the doctor, the first thing they'll say is, are your father diabetic? Yes, doctor. Ha. When he says ha, that means you are half dead. Your father and you have nothing in common with two of you. You are not your father's child. That's again Indian philosophy. It says, children don't belong to you, they have come through you. Absolutely right scientifically. Because you are the children of germs. We are all children of germs. In every genome, for 23,000 human genes, you've got 2.5 trillion germ genes. Which means, you imagine the contribution of parents, 23,000 divided by 2.5 trillion. My mathematics is not good. It will not be 1 in a million. You may have some features of your father or mother or something like that, but what is evolution is environment. If you live like your father, you follow what your father did, you smoke like your father, you eat like a pig like your father, and drink like a fish, not what the fish drinks, you will certainly get what the father had. In short, evolution is environmental and not genetic. Let's forget the genes for a minute. Today we know with your mind you can change your genes also. You just do real meditation, you can even increase the size of the telomere at the end of the chromosome, which is a sign of your aging. When you age, the telomere becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. With meditation, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can change. Bhushan was talking about lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases are lifestyle diseases. I'll tell you what happens. We were hunter-gatherers in the forest some 10,000 years ago before we came to Pune. And what were we doing there? We had to protect ourselves from tigers and lions, snakes, all kinds of things. Nature said, let people survive there also. So nature gave us an autonomic nervous system. If I said God, all of you will be angry because you don't believe in God now. And once you go to BSc level, you forget God. But do you know what Max Planck, the greatest physicist, said about God? God said, science ends in God, religion starts with God. That's all the difference. For religion, you must start with God, otherwise people don't follow you. For science, you go on science, you come to quantum physics, then you say, without God, nothing happens here. It doesn't run like a clock, what Newton and Einstein said. There's a different world altogether. Newton's world and Einstein's world is different from the real, what is called the quantum world view. I'll come to that later. Now anyway, so what did nature do? Gave you an autonomic nervous system to protect you. So the sympathetic system and this parasympathetic system. Now when you saw a tiger and you want to run away from the tiger to survive, so to run you require glucose, to run you require your blood pressure to go up, to run you require your heart rate to go up, to run you require energy. All this comes from the stimulation of the sympathetic system. You get adrenaline coming. When the adrenaline comes to the liver, nature has kept gunny bags of sugar in the liver called glycogen. So it stimulates the liver and neoglucogenesis, new sugar comes out. So you see the tiger there, your sugar goes up. Then you see the tiger you want to run, your blood pressure goes up because the adrenaline. Your heart rate goes up, chronotrophicity, everything goes up. And then you run for your life. And if you survive, all these things have come down. Now we have transplanted ourselves into society in the last 10,000 years, but our physiology is the same. We have same tigers now in the form of human beings. It may be your boss who is a tiger. It may be your wife who is a tiger. It may be your husband who is a tiger. It may be your junior colleague who is a tiger. It may be the peon in the principal's office who is a tiger. Now when you see that tiger, the same reaction occurs inside. But you can't run away from the tiger. Supposing your wife is a tiger, how can you run away from the wife? So your blood pressure goes up and you stand there and watch there and your blood pressure goes up and up and up. After some time it is up. That is what is called high blood pressure. Your sugar is up, that's called diabetes. Your cholesterol is up because cholesterol is not a disease, but cholesterol has to go up because cholesterol is the base of all of the steroids that are needed for your stress. So all these are diseases. Now what do we do in reductionist science? I give you a pill, a chemical poison. I tell you what these are. And then what happens? You are happy. I have taken the pill. I have taken it from Dr. Bhushan, who is a very good doctor. Your blood pressure comes down. Why does the blood pressure come down? One scientist tried to find out. What did he do? He had a chip made. It's called the MIT chip, mitochondrial chip. And this chip can track the drug. If you tag it on, wherever the drug goes, it tags it. So he gives the drug, tags it onto the chip, and then follows it. And he found that every reductionist chemical drug that he used was accepted first, goes into the stomach. The body's wisdom says, oh, this I have not seen it. My forefathers have not seen it. My generation has not seen it. It must be a poison, so it must be eliminated, goes to the river. So every drug that you take from A to Z first goes to the liver, and the liver tries to destroy it. That is why after every drug, 24 hours to 48 hours later, you do your liver function test, it's altered. Then sometimes the liver cannot destroy the whole thing. Some of it comes out, which is called first pass effect. This first pass effect was known to us even when I was a pharmacology student. But our professors didn't know what is first pass effect. Now we know what it is. Now then what we do, that is not enough. So we now know pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics. So we give more dose, more drug. And all these do what is called adverse drug reactions, ADR. So mind you, every drug has an adverse drug reaction. Every drug may not be useful to you, but every drug has an adverse drug reaction. That's why I coined this phrase, while there is no pill for every ill, there is an ill following every pill. It's absolutely true. It's out of experience, long experience I have said, for every pill, there is an ill. So I tell doctors, tell the patient before you give a tablet, two things, A, N and T, B, ADR. N and T is number needed to treat, because all our drugs are statistically significant. Not useful for everybody that you give. Supposing I give you a drug like statin, let us say. The N and T is 300, which means 1 in 300 people whom I prescribe statin will get benefit. So some of us, are fanatics, they say, okay, 1 in 300 chance I'll get benefit out of statin, I'll take it. Then tell him what is the ADR risk, 5%. That means 299 people who take the drug unnecessarily have 5% risk of almost dying. So now look at the whole balance. 1 patient gets benefit, 299 don't get benefit. 6 into 299 is about 18, 17 people. 17 people die. So in the balance, I have given statin to 300 Punites, and I can be very certain of benefit for 1 person. And I am absolutely certain of harm to 17 people. Nice, isn't it? Now the largest study of antihypertensive drugs in the what is called the MRC, mild to moderate hypertension study, which is published in 1985, showed NNT for antihypertensive drugs is 850. To benefit 1 patient with the fond hope of stroke or heart attack avoidance in the next 5 years, I am harming 850 people unnecessarily. And there, of course, the ADR risk is 2%, which means 8.5 into 2 is 16 people. 16 people will die in next 5 years. 1 man might be saved. What is the balance? If you know all this, will you take these drugs? Now you can study this MIT study, mitochondrial study. Write down. Mitochondria as chi. Chi means energy. Mitochondria as chi, CHI. In Chinese language is energy. And the man's name is Wallace, Wallace, D.C. Wallace, Douglas C. Wallace. He is a professor of genetics in Washington University. And the article is in a journal called Genetics. Okay? Year is 2004. I'm sorry, 2008. Volume is 179. And page is 727. Please read this. All these articles are free in the internet. Read that. And go and read it. It's a 10-page article. It will take at least 2 days to understand it because very complicated genetics in it. And very interesting message is the Ayurvedic drugs which he tried, not from India, the Tibetan drugs, herbal drugs he tried, they were not having any one of these reactions. It goes inside and attacks and gets digested, goes into the system, does good or doesn't do good, but doesn't harm and doesn't go to the liver. So the liver is, today we have an epidemic of what's called non-alcoholic cirrhosis, which I have never heard when I was a student in the 50s. Only alcoholics used to get cirrhosis. Now ordinary people, anybody goes to the doctor and says, slight touch of fatty liver. My God, I get about 100 and 150 consultations, free consultations, the email every day. Half of it is fatty liver. I went for a checkup. I have fatty liver. And for a change, today, I had a Delhi University professor, senior professor, who wrote to me, Professor Hegde, I'm coming to 65. I have not seen a doctor so far. My wife pesters me every day, must have a checkup. Do you think I must have a checkup? I was so happy. I said, don't have a checkup. You are 65 because you didn't see a doctor. And you will be 100 if you are destined to be 100. If you go to a doctor, there's a good possibility that you'll not see the 67th birthday. Delhi University professor, he said, I have kept my records, roughly, from the age 5, I remember, till today. I might have spent about 100 rupees to the doctor. Can you believe that? Delhi University professor, senior professor. I was so happy for a change. After a number of years, I am getting this. Because everybody says, I have not had a checkup. I have not had a checkup. Somebody asked, did you have a checkup? I said, I have not had a checkup. But I don't tell them that. Because I always believe in Ayurveda. The Ayurveda has a beautiful definition of health. What is the definition of health in the Western medicine? 1947 alma mater definition. Absence of physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, environmental, this, that, disease, which means it's a business definition, which was done with the business purpose. If you want to know you're healthy or not, you must go to the doctor, which means you must go for a checkup. It's a good business, isn't it? See, checkup is the biggest business. You don't know that? Read this editorial in the BMJ called The Screening Industry. Screening industry, written by the editor himself, Richard Smith. You say Richard Smith, BMJ, screening industry, it will come up. And the fascinating article where it shows that screening is very simple. You're all mathematicians, Pune, intelligent people. We don't have anything called normal in the human body. We don't know what's normal in the human body. We know average. Average everybody knows, but normal we don't know. So how do we arrive at the average? 1,000 people measure, let us say height, 1,000 people, and put a cow, Gaussian distribution like a bell, and we put the mean plus 2 standard deviation. I don't know what it means. It means mean. And that mean is transferred automatically into normal. What is the normal height of Indian male? 5.4 plus minus 2. 4.5 is also normal, 6.2 is also normal, but they automatically become abnormal. It's called false positive. So for every one measure that you do, you get about 25 to 50 false positives. Supposing you go for a checkup today, total body scanner, 500 parameters are checked. 500 into 25, don't want 525, 5%. 525 is 2,500, isn't it? 100 people go for a checkup, 2,500 patients come out. Based on this, a very intelligent professor of medicine in Yale University asked one of her students, who is a patient? Do you know who is a patient? Good. Fantastic. The student gave the same answer. A man or a woman who goes to the doctor becomes a patient. The professor was shocked. She was a good girl, 52, and she had done her studies very well. And she got shocked. Then she asked the doctor, when does he become a man or a woman again? Do you know what the student said? Rarely ever, if ever. Because today you go to a doctor, he says, take this pill. Sir, doctor, when I am all right, I can. No. Don't stop it. Blood pressure will go to the sky. Take it every day for the rest of your life. Finished. Who is finished? Patient is finished. Drug company benefits. This is our practice of medicine. It's called reductionist science. You remember the bird coming in is cancer. And tablet going in is science. So this kind of a science. Please, before I forget, none of you go home and stop your medicines. What I am giving is not the prescription. It's only story. If you want to stop your medicine and if you feel you're fine, please go back to your own doctor who has prescribed the medicine and discuss with him. No harm done. Ask your doctor 2 questions. Doctor, this pill you have given, no? What is the NNT of this pill? If your doctor knows the NNT, then you can talk to him. If he doesn't know, he has not heard of the NNT, then no use talking to him. You ask him, what is the NNT, doctor, and what is the ADR? 2 things only you have to ask. Every tablet that he prescribes, there is an NNT, there is an ADR. And if you don't know, don't worry about it. Right? But nobody stops at home. This one fellow wrote to me the other day. I heard your lecture in Bombay, and I have stopped my blood pressure is normal. I stopped my blood pressure pill, and I'm continuing to measure it's normal. But when I went to my doctor, he shouted at you and me together, and he said, both of us are fools. I said, for no fault, you got one more enemy for me. So, because I didn't know who this man is, he heard my lecture somewhere. So after that, I'm warning all the people, this is not a prescription, this is only an information. I'm not your doctor, you're not my patient. Did you understand that? Okay, come back to what we were saying. Now what happens? You may wonder, what is this fellow talking about? We all get benefit when we go to the doctor, don't you? Whether he gives the drug rightly or wrongly, also you get benefit. Then investigations happened as to why this happens. 4 universities came into the picture like Bhushan. There's a professor of medicine in Oxford, very bright young man like Bhushan. He almost looks like Bhushan. His name is Professor Bingal. He had 4 universities, Oxford, Cambridge, Munich, and one more university. So 4 of these universities did a study on tablets, drug effect on patients. What they did was, they took volunteers, produced severe pain in them. You can produce pain very easily. What is the best treatment for pain? Best? Huh? Pain, all are killers. They are not painkillers. What? No. Best conventional treatment. Morphine. Paracetamol won't kill the pain. Aspirin doesn't kill the pain. Aspirin kills the man. Morphine, you agree? Anybody doesn't agree? Everybody agrees? No, they gave a morphine drip to the patient. But told the patient, this is not morphine. This is a new vitamin we have found out, vitamin B17, lateral, which will cure your disease, may not take your pain out. Would you believe 88% of the people with the morphine running intravenously did not have pain relief? Did you mark my words? Then they crossed over. The same patient took the other side, produced the pain, started a saline drip, and told the patient, this is the latest salt of morphine. Very, very effective. Your pain should go like that. And everybody's pain went. Did you get that? Then the researchers were nonplussed. What's happening? Then did a concurrent fMRI and repeated the whole study again. Do you know what it showed? When the patient believed, mark my words, believed his doctor and had faith in the doctor, their brain slept. Nothing happened. Pain didn't go. When the patient believed the doctor, the forebrain started functioning so powerfully that it produced very powerful opioids which killed the pain. In short, your pain relief or your disease relief comes from your own body. That's what Bhushan said a little while ago. Your own body treats your own disease. And that is why you are made like that with a wonderful doctor built into you. He has no degree, but he is built into you so that you are not made and sent here thinking that the doctors will come, Pune will have so many, this clinic, that clinic, 5-star hospital, all corporate monstrosities, but you are sent here to say that you live as long as you live unless something adverse happens. So, your own immune system keeps you going. Did you understand that? Now, students, read this article. The placebo effect. The placebo effect. Placebo in Latin means I please. When once you are pleased, you are okay. The first author's name is Bingel, B-I-N-G-E-L. Bingel et al. You write. And a very prestigious journal, Science Translational Medicine, STM it's called, STM. 2011, volume 3, page 70. Please read this. It's a fascinating work. And it shows you how your body has a fantastic capacity to heal itself. Now this we know in quantum physics. It's called quantum healing. I want all of you to read this beautiful book written by a brilliant Indian quantum physicist who teaches quantum physics in the University of Irvine. His name is Amit Goswami. Amit is a Bengali, very brilliant Bengali. He's a good physicist, and he is one of the top quantum physicists in America. The 3 people who originally started the CERN reactor, he is one of them. Of course, he now thinks CERN is a waste. But then, it goes on because once you start the research, they don't want to stop it because research is the thing that gets them money. So CERN goes on, and every 10 years, the research grant is coming back and say, we have almost found the God particle. Almost. I wrote to them, why 99%? Why not 100%? Very soon the 99% disappeared because the energy dissipated. Entropy. The whole world is on entropy. So energy dissipated. That's what happens to human beings. We also follow entropy. And then you say when you are 50, I can't walk. I'm just old. I'm tired. And if you think like that, you're tired. And by another 2 years, you're in bed. You should be able to see human beings can get over entropy because there is another kind of entropy called negative entropy. Have you heard of that? Evolution. We evolve. We live on sun's energy. we live on food, we live on so many things, and we live on love. You know, love is the best food. Did you know that? We live on love. Love doesn't have the spelling of LUST, yeah? That's not the love. The love I'm talking about has the spelling of COMPASSION. Okay, that's the love. And that really keeps you going. So, all of us must develop what's called negative entropy to counteract the normal entropy in the world. You know, anything is normal. Say, ice cube you keep, entropy disappears after some time. Anything you keep, it goes away. But man should not happen like that. We are given the power. That's what Bhushan was talking about, yoga, pranayama, meditation, etc., etc. This gives you that energy, plus universal compassion. So for which we have now changed the definition of health. And the IOM, Institute of Medicine, which is the highest audit body in America, has accepted our definition. And the definition is enthusiasm to work. You get up in the morning and ask yourself, do I want to go to work or do I have to go to work? If the answer is the second one, you are not healthy. You have had a checkup already. Did you understand that? That's the best checkup. But if you say, I want to go to work, fine. Enthusiasm to be compassionate. Do I have to do something for someone? And most of you think doing something for someone is their benefit, not my benefit. No, helping others is your benefit. Did you know what's happiness? Happiness is not buying a big car, building a 10-bedroom house. Because 10-bedroom, you can't sleep in all the 10 bedrooms in a given time. You can sleep in only one bedroom, isn't it? Buying a big car. What is a car for? Taking you from point A to point B. What does it matter whether it's a Maruti 800 or a Porsche? The difference is your ego. I was in Pune about 3 months ago for some lecture. One very rich man in Pune took me for dinner in his car, big car. Then after some time he said, oh, look at these people now. They are manufacturing cheaper varieties of this car. After all, why do you own this car like this? You want that exclusivity. I only can own this car. Now every riffraff has the same car. You know, they're making it for very 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs. So everybody buys. I want it to be only 90 lakhs, 1 crore car. Only PM Hegde can own it. That means he's singled out. I was feeling sorry for the man. I said, he doesn't have an enlightenment at all. What is enlightenment really? You have to be humble. Humble and humble. There's a beautiful Kannada couplet. I'll tell that in Kannada and then translate it. Yeruvanu Ravi. Kattalodane Jagaladuvanu. ಏರಿದಂತೆಲೇ ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಾಗಿ ತೋರುವನು ಏರಿದವನು ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಾಗಿರಬೇಕಿಲೇ ಎಂಬ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಜಗಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾರುವನು. Sun rises in the morning fighting darkness, and as he comes up he becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, proclaiming to the world that higher you go the humbler you should be. What a beautiful thing. Fantastic thing. These poets, are fantastic people sometimes. That's exactly what Christina wrote about this giving, compassion. She said, if love is what you give away, love is what comes back each day. What a beautiful thought. I slightly changed it. If compassion is what you give away, compassion is what comes back each day. If happiness is what you give away, happiness comes back each day. So a simple formula for to be happy is A, forget about I want to be happy. The two things are preventing your happiness. I and want. Now remove I, want happy. Take off what? Happy. You are happy anyway. So what's preventing it? I and want. So two things. Reduce your wants and then remove your I. I is what? I, illness. Convert it into we, wellness. As simple as that. So we belong to a fraternity. We belong to a family. In the good old days, we used to have large families. When I was a small child in my father's house, we were about 66 people in the house. 66 people. And I still remember, morning sometimes the idli is less or idli doesn't come out well. So one idli is cut into 4 pieces or 8 pieces and then 3 pieces are put. Then you are told, you have 3 idlis. 3 idlis means 3/4 of an idli. But it's 3 idlis. But psychologically you're happy because everybody has 3 idlis. See, when you are unhappy, somebody gets 4 idlis and you get 1 idli, you are unhappy. So everybody gets the same 3/4 of an idli, you are happy. Supposing I told you, tomorrow Pune is going to have an earthquake and all of you die, you are not worried. You go home and sleep. Supposing I single out one of you and say, tomorrow you are going to die, you will never sleep because you are jealous of others living. This is the problem with us. Happiness is in yourself and you can destroy the happiness. So all this means Health is simply enthusiasm to work and enthusiasm to be compassionate, which has nothing to do with physical illness. For the simple reason, if you think for a minute, that Steve Hawkins, who has a disease which, according to my book's bullshit, he should be dead in 2 years after diagnosis, called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. 42 years. This man is working as a professor of physics in Cambridge. Of course, he has got a lot of devices to help him. That's a different story. But he must have that enthusiasm, see? Enthusiasm to work. What a beautiful word. En in Latin means inside. Theos means God. God sits inside and provokes you. Enthusiasm. Om Bhurbuha Swaha, you say. Tat Saviturvarenyam. Ultimately what it is? Prachodayat. God provoke me to do. That's the prayer. That's the same prayer, enthusiasm. No difference. And a fascinating word. So that is the health. And not that health of absence of this, that disease. British Medical Journal's editor wrote an editorial about health definition of alma ata. He said, I seriously think about this definition. It can be attained only under two circumstances. A, after death, when you know disease at all. You're dead. Second is at the height of human orgasm, which doesn't even last for a fraction of a second, beyond which this health cannot be attained. So why that definition? Because you want to fatten the purse of the industry. That's all. So everything is for the industry. So now you know your health is in your hands. Your own hands. I'll give you an example. A lot of people get relief if they went to Shirdi or if they went to Lourdes. You know, a lot of people go to Lourdes. I'm talking of the West with the water. But a lot of them get benefit. Do you know how it happens? Quantum healing. The minute you think you are cured, you just have to think seriously. Believe in it. Not just say, I will think because BMX has asked me to think. No. You must believe in it that if I went to Shirdi, I will be cured. You must believe in it. And then what happens is the quantum healing starts. What is in quantum physics? Your body is not your body. Your body is energy. Energy is matter, matter is energy, which is called a-duality in quantum physics. The man who found out, Hans-Peter Dürr, who was till recently my co-editor in our journal, fascinating old man. He was 89, so enthusiastic. He doesn't carry a cell phone because he believes nuclear energy is very bad. He's a nuclear scientist. And he goes all over the world, and his wife doesn't know where he is. So she'll occasionally call me, do you know where Peter? I have lost him. 2 months he is not there. He said he is going to China, and now they say he is with you. Where is he? She doesn't know. Such a nice girl, I tell you, his wife. So this fellow, ultimately, when he died, he had cancer. 15 years he had cancer. He never took any treatment. And he was going about it. Don't care at all. And he will sleep at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and get up at 4 o'clock, and again work. And such a fascinating man. He wrote in his paper for you. Write down. Matter is not made out of matter. It's a very good paper for lay people to read. You will understand quantum physics if you read this paper. Matter is not made out of matter. His name is Hans, H-A-N-S, Peter, P-E-T-E-R, Dürr, D-U-R-R. I quote what he wrote. I am a nuclear physicist. My job is to look at matter at its subtlest level, subtlest level, subtlest level. I have trained for my PhD with Edward Teller, the father of the hydrogen bomb. And when I found out he was doing hydrogen bomb, I left him and came back to Germany and joined Einstein and others in the Max Planck Institute. Ever since that time, that was in 1955, I have been a nuclear scientist looking at matter. And one fine day, I see there is no matter at all. Was I worried? No, I was expecting it, he says. And I call this as a-duality, no duality between matter and energy. But who am I in front of the Indian sages of yore who called it as Advaita? What a beautiful thing. Who is saying that? Hans-Peter Dürr, who can't even speak English fluently, but can really speak Sanskrit. And he quotes, in the speeches he quotes, the Bhagavad Gita, from the Upanishad to Bhagavad Gita, Bahirantascha bhutanam. It is inside and outside of everything. Charam acharamevacha. It's moving. Your energy is moving, but you look solid. It's Maya. Shankara's Maya, he calls it. He calls it as Wirklichkeit. Wirklichkeit in German means Maya. Nataka. Drama. You know drama? The whole world is a drama. Now you all exist here. Do you really exist here? I don't know. If I close my eyes, you don't exist here. It is my perception that you exist here. So you are virtually Maybe here, maybe not be here, potentially here, but you exist when I see you. If I close my eyes, you don't exist. The whole world is like that. So, it's a maya. Bahirantascha bhutanam charam acharamevacha sukshmavateta vijnayam. What a beautiful thought. It is so subtle that no vijnana in future also can see it. In 2017, people have not seen an electron. So many people got Nobel Prize describing an electron without seeing it. But they tell you in the physics class in BSc, if you have not seen God, God doesn't exist. Right? But you have not seen electron exists because he believes in it. That's all the difference. See, so many people. One fellow, J.J. Thomson in 1907, who was a Cavendish Institute director, said electrons are particles. Nobel Prize. 30 years later, his own son, George Thomson, said they are waves. Again, Nobel Prize. So everybody got Nobel Prize. Ultimately, the one boy who really did it was Werner Heisenberg. He said, uncertainty principle. You don't know what it is. You can't know where it is. What is where is what. And this boy says, I understood it after understanding Indian philosophy. Werner Heisenberg says, I understood my quantum physics. One of the top quantum physicists, Nobel laureate quantum physicist says, I understood quantum physics only after understanding Indian philosophy. Can you believe that? You and I don't, because we don't believe in Indian philosophy. We don't think India exists. We think only the British gave it to us. And because even after independence for over 70 years, we had RNIs as our leaders. RNI, you know, resident non-Indians. You don't know them. You know NRIs. No, but we have most RNIs here, resident non-Indians. They are not Indians. They live here with their mind in America or England or Europe. And we had those RNIs as our chief. So they condemned India for everything. Even today there are people who condemn India. They say, what is this rubbish? But these people say, Werner Heisenberg says, I understood quantum physics. Of course, Fritjof Capra has written a book for all of you, The Tao of Physics, where he says, I understood quantum physics when I was sleeping in the sands of Konark on the beach. When this hot sand, the vibration was going up, then I knew the dance of Shiva, that's the dance of the electrons. But Werner Heisenberg saying is something fantastic. And who is saying that? Again, Max Planck. Max Planck says Indian philosophy is quantum physics. Whole quantum worldview is Indian. You can comprehend much more than what you can grasp. What is science, Western science, do you know? Fishnet hypothesis. Have you heard of fishnet hypothesis? Who has heard of fishnet? Who are BSc students here? MSc students here? Fishnet hypothesis. Sir Arthur Stanley Eddington, a Nobel laureate physicist in England. You know, madam? You know? You said you raised your hand. Dufatta? No. Ichthyologists means fish specialists, wanted to study fish. So went to the sea, caught fish, took their laboratories and used the vernier caliper, this, that, and all, measured the fish up and down, down below, produced evidence to say that all sea fish should be more than 2 inches in length. Why? Their net had that hole. So after 10 years, another group of ichthyologists went to the sea with a different net, with a smaller hole, that caught even half an inch fish. So they said all sea fish is half an inch. That's another hypothesis. This is called fish net hypothesis. So Western reductionist science is so reductionist, it doesn't know what's happening on the other side of the room. And that's called fish net hypothesis. It's a very important hypothesis in science. And Arthur Stanley Eddington is a big man. He got the Nobel Prize thanks to our friend, who is that? Einstein. He was Einstein's friend. Because Einstein's theories were all proved wrong by 16 experiments. But only this fellow said, no, I am going to repeat that experiment. And he alone did the experiment, said Einstein is right, Newton is wrong. So Einstein said, okay, this fellow must get a Nobel Prize. So he had the, or he got. So that's the story of our friend Stanley Arthur Eddington, who said, science is after all fish net hypothesis. So friends, in the quantum worldview, you see this whole world not as a reality, but as happenings. So beautifully described by Krishna to Arjuna. When Arjuna says, whom am I fighting? I don't want to fight. Whom am I fighting? My own brothers, my own cousins, my own uncles, my own teacher, my own guru. How can I kill them? So he puts the Gandiva down. What does Krishna tell him? Anarya justam o Partha. You are not an Arya. That means you are not authentic. You are not a good human being. You promise something to your brother that you will fight, on the strength of which he came to the war. Now in the war field you say, I am not going to fight. So you are Anarya justam o Partha. Akirti param. You will not get kirti. You will not. Aswargiyam. You will never go to Swarga. So don't do that. You fail. Because you are not killing them. They are all dead. In quantum physics they are dead. You are only a nimitta matram. I am not joking. This is exactly what Hans Peter Dew says. Haps. Haps is happenings. They just happen. Time doesn't move. You know, it's 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, all this is our conception. The movements happen. At 5 o'clock, we were in the Ferguson Road. At 6 o'clock, I am inside this hall. That's how time has changed. But time is the same. My grandmother's time also, the same time happened. Same thing happened. But we think time is moving. Then, of course, ordinary physics write time and this and that, and then write books and stories, nice stories. You all read and pay money. But real thing is, time doesn't change. We change. That's called entropy. And we should stop that entropy by what's called negative entropy, by evolution. And that can be beautifully done by meditation, yoga, and pranayama. What a beautiful thought. Prana ayama, movement of prana, the life energy. And I saw a beautiful book in one of the American schools of yoga. You know, there are about 43 schools. One school I happened to go for a lecture and saw a book written by the owner of the school. And she has written Usha Yoga. Usha is her name. So Usha Yoga. All kinds of yogas are there. You know, here also people have their names. And then she has written Prana plus Yama, Pranayama. So I told her, don't bring Yama into this. You know, change the book. Don't bring Yama. Because of course, Yama is all right for we doctors. You don't know that? Vaidhyarajo namastubhyam, Yamaraja sahodara. You are Yama's brother. It's a compliment. Because Yama is the only god who is very ethical. He kills the dog or the king the same way. Whereas all of us, you know, king the separate death and dog is different death. No, Yama same. It's a compliment. But the next one is Yamastu harati pranan. Yama only takes life. Vaidhyo pranan dhananicha. You take life and money both. It is money that has spoiled science. Up until money came into this world, science was pure. Science had compassion. Science had some love. Science had an aim to try and understand this world. But after money came, science became money because money spoils everything. You didn't know that. You didn't know? Before money came into the world, this world was so happy that nobody had any disease. When money came, disease came. Now recently, 2 months ago, there was a beautiful study published in the most prestigious journal called the Lancet. This study studied an aboriginal race called Shimea. It's spelled as T-S-I-A-M-N-E. Shimane. And the Shimane are a tribe in the deep down Amazon forest on the Bolivian side, on the Brazilian side. And these people lived up to 100 years. They don't even wear any dress. They are stark naked. And they know what to do and what treatment to take for any disease. And they are very happy and contented, absolutely contented. Now, this study was done, and the Western science interpreted the study as saying that, see, they were working very hard. They were using 17,000 feet walking, and our exercise is only 10,000, so they are better. And they are eating good food because they are eating the same food. But one thing they have never understood, what is their mind? A very interesting study of the mind. Where is the mind? Where is the mind? Never mind. Where is the mind, younger generation? All over the body, all over the body, all over the body. Nobody wants to buy mind is in the brain. Man who said mind is in the brain got the Nobel Prize, man. So you may also get a Nobel Prize. Wilder Penfield was a Canadian neurosurgeon who said mind is in the brain in the 50s. Of course, in the 70s, he said, I'm sorry, mind cannot be in an organ like the brain. Mind is such a vast thing. Mind is a whole universe. Consciousness. Your whole consciousness is called your mind. And you are a part of this universal mind. So your mind and my mind are so closely connected. That's why I called you in the beginning, brothers and sisters of Pune, because you are closer to me than my sister, if I had one. I don't have one. But if I had one, you're closer than to me, because you are closer now. My sister is not here. So my mind and your mind, my body, your body is very close. We are brothers, sisters. So this concept of the mind is the body. Remember that? Mind is simply the illusion which you see as a human body. Which means, if you have a pain in the neck, you are not having a pain in the neck, you are a pain in the neck. Did you understand that? Once you understand that, you can very easily get rid of the pain. There was this girl who should have got the Nobel Prize because she did some fantastic work in the NIH. Her name is Candace Pert. And she, for the first time, found out there are opiate receptors outside the brain. And this, she took so much of time, but her boss wanted to steal the data. He's a big man, Saul Snyder, NIH chief. NIH is a palace in science in America, and he was the chief. So he stole her data when she was on holiday, and quickly went and published it, and got the Lasker Award, and published it for the Nobel Prize, which was picked up. This girl came and found out the thing, went to the Nobel Committee, fought. You know, some of these girls can fight, real fighter. She fought and saw that the Nobel Committee cancelled his Nobel Prize. And she also didn't get a Nobel Prize in the bargain. And what happened was, she was dismissed from her job. Saul Snyder said, who are you to complain against me? You know, this is how it happens in big institutes. Boss is a tiger now. So her blood pressure started going up. So she was thrown out. But she wrote this book called Molecules of Emotion. Write down, Molecules of Emotion. Fascinating book, where she writes in one chapter, when you get a headache, you don't reach to the tablet cupboard. You simply sit in a quiet room and sit and meditate. And 10 minutes, your own body releases such powerful opioids that your headache simply disappears. Time has come, she said, to meditate and elevate our consciousness. What a beautiful thought. Who writes that? Candace Pert writes in a beautiful book called Molecules of Emotion. So this is the basis of Indian yoga system. Yoga is not kusti. You know what you see in the television? Chiram Sukham Asanam. That's asana is for Stira Sukha, it's constant ease. Really the Chitta Vritti Nirodha Yoga. Chitta is that level of mind where ego gets in. You look at the child, Manas, very happy child. Everybody smiles, not this big child, but small child. You know, if you have a small child, it smiles at everyone, whether it's B.M. Hegde, Patwardhan, Doshi or Joshi or Pandey or everybody smiles. And that has got a beautiful heart, which moves with the breathing. It's called sinus arrhythmia. Child breathes in, heart runs fast. Child breathes out, it runs slow. We thought in Western medicine it's arrhythmia. No, arrhythmia is rhythmia. Health is arrhythmia. Rhythmia is unhealth. Death is arrhythmia. Only rhythm occurs only after death. Your blood sugar is steady, your blood pressure is steady, your cholesterol is steady after you die. Otherwise, every second it's going up and down. It's called arrhythmia. Now what happens? The child goes to school. Alexis Carrel wrote, every newborn child is a genius, which is scientifically true, because your consciousness comes to you on the day you are made in your mother's womb. It's the universe, the same thing, everybody. Only to be converted an idiot in school. It's absolutely true. So he goes to the school, what happens? Buddhi. There you are told, this is B.M. Hegde, that's Patwardhan, this is Doshi, that's Joshi, and things like that. Then the child learns. Then it smiles only at B.M. Hegde if he likes it, or it frowns at, and then the heart rate becomes regular and regular and regular. Then you still go higher up, from Buddhi, you come to Chitta. Chitta is when you're little old, you're a teenager, then you say, I, you know. Then you put on those tight pants and, skirts above the bottom and things like that. That's the time you get aham, I. At that stage, I don't like Bhushan Patwardhan. I don't like B.M. Hegde. That's where the problem starts. That's the Chitta level, Vritti starts. So Patanjali said, Chitta, Vritti, Nirodha, Yoga. Then you go to the next level. What's the next level? Purusha. And you say, okay, all right, you don't like B.M. Hegde, forget about him. Let him go to dogs. What does it matter? You are okay for temporarily, but not fully okay. To be fully okay, Purusha, Shrestha, Ishvara, the fifth level of mind. Ishvara, one with the surrounding. So he says, he goes out to help. He sees B.M. Hegde there, he says, oh, poor man, it's 7 o'clock, he's come from Bangalore, whether he's had food or not, let me go out, get him a cup of coffee. That level if you reach, I tell you, you have no disease whatsoever. Now come back to the mind of the Simane, Shimane tribe. Absolutely child's mind. They love everyone, laugh at everyone, live together and share together. They're absolutely like a child. There's another study called the Innu community study. And this was done long back in 1950s. And Innus are an aboriginal race off the coast of Saskatchewan. They had no touch with reality at all. And then written documents, they said no disease, no common cold to cancer, nothing. And they lived 100 years or died because of predation. Now 1732, a Canadian company came there called Williams Company. No, Hudson Bay Company. Hudson Bay Company came and started a barter trade. Said, okay, you give your hide to us, we will give you biscuit, we will give you soap, we will give you scent, etc., etc. Problem started. To cut the long story short, today every Innu is a Canadian citizen, and every Innu has got every disease which a Canadian Caucasian gets 10 years before. The Canadian Caucasians get heart attack in the 5th decade, these people get 4th decade. What has changed for them? Money and their lifestyle change. So now put these two things together and see what has changed. Mind has changed. You have sold your soul with money to the devil, and you hate everyone in this world. You want to be one up. I am having a Mercedes car, you must have a Jaguar car. I am having a Jaguar car, you want to have something bigger than that. This goes on in this world. It's a rat race, and we don't love one another. So the whole study which showed in the Lancet that they were not better off because they were walking more, or they were running more, or they were not having clothes. They were better off because their mind was like a child's mind. Innu's mind was like a child's mind. And if you are a child's mind, you don't get a heart attack at all. I have done a lot of studies on these hearts which are bad. We give them pranayama and get them back HRV, and they're fine. They're fine. And pranayama, you start loving people. The minute you start loving people, your heart improves so much, I tell you. So I always tell people, love the world, you live forever. Of course, that ever doesn't mean you will be here forever. That, of course, in a doctor's dilemma, this Bernard Shaw has written, never try to live here forever, you will never succeed. Because you have to die, nature's thing is you have to die. But you can always postpone that to the maximum extent possible. But in India, what happens, we are always good in jumping queue. You always join the queue when you're born, queue of death. Some of us jump the queue and go a little faster. But others, go in the same queue at the back, and they continue. They jug on and on and on. So what is ultimately important is, the mind is our boss. And where is the mind? Never mind. But you must know your mind and try to control the mind. I always tell people, you take a body bath. Body doesn't exist, but you take a bath. And for that, what fuss? You have this soap, this shampoo, that shampoo. And oh my God, you have spent so much money for this. But when did you take a bath for the mind? I tell them daily take a bath for the mind. That's meditation. And meditation, especially pranayama, anuloma, viloma, pranayama. Do you know what I do? I breathe in, say, let me be more compassionate. Let all hatred, greed, jealousy, anger, pride run away. Keep on doing that. Sit for 10 minutes and do that. I tell you, you become so tranquil. If you are very angry with somebody, do that. Sit back and breathe deeply. You forget who you are angry with. You may even go and hug that man. Because, you just forget. So the whole thing is in your mind. And mind is the environment for health. And I've written an article which is the internet, you can see. Health is environmental, not genetic, nothing. It's environmental. And your environment is not just the environment that we talk about. Heat, cold, food, this, that, water, air. They're all secondary. What is most important? Your most important environment that's keeping you here? Your mind. So mind your mind, and you will be very healthy. Thank you very much.